Oh my goodness. What a show we have today. Mm, mm, mm. It's Friday, January 5th. We're heading into the final regular season weekend of football. A couple of games on Saturday, one impactful in particular. Both have playoff implications, but the nightcap is going to be extremely important. Somebody's going to the playoffs and somebody's going home in that. Anyway, we will talk football on today's show at some point, but we're going to spend a large chunk of this show talking about the Club Shay Shay interview with Katt Williams. Oh my stars. Let's just get straight to the proceedings this evening. You are locked into the Louie T Network podcast that starts now. The Louie T Network is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description. Who else could it be? For me, you're me, Louie T. Welcome to the 386th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Whew. Oh, man. Look, y'all know I am extremely petty. And I told y'all, I'm always here for the foolishness, right? I'm always here for the extracurricular activity. You know, send that my way, okay? I can't help it. My wife has rewired my brain. I feel like Eric Benemy in this case, right? I used to want no parts of this type of shit. Keep that reality TV shit over there. I don't want any parts of it. And then my wife, brought this drama into my life, and all of a sudden now, if you got Lipton's and it's hot, hey, let me get a sip. I didn't just get a sip of the Lipton's that Katt Williams had on Club Shay Shay the other day. I drunk the whole goddamn gallon. That episode was 2 hours and 56 minutes of entertainment gold, hell, platinum. And I devoured every second of it, from the intro to the outro. That shit had the entire internet buzzing yesterday and still today. Truth is something that you generally don't get in Hollywood. Too many people are afraid of the backlash that comes with opening your mouth and speaking truth. So when you get a Monique, or you get a Katt Williams, or someone who's not afraid to speak their truth, the truth, and nothing but the truth, there may be an exaggeration or two in there. And trust me, I've eaten up a lot of the shit that has surrounded this particular podcast episode of Club Shay Shay. I've listened to a lot of reaction videos from people who are in the know. Gary Owens was like, yo, did I just catch a stray? Nah, you good over there, bro. You good. And so I wanted to hear what he had to say, because he's like, yo, I lived it. I was there. That Bud Light Cedric the Entertainer competition that Katt Williams won, I was in it. I was a semifinalist. So I know. He said that Katt Williams episode of Comic View that he's talking, I was the host. I know what he's talking about. So there was a lot to digest, right? But you got to also take some of it with a grain of salt. Some of that was definitely personal. you know, a lot of it was truth. And then some of it was personal. And then you was like, did you have to bring their wives into it? It was funny, but did you have to bring their wives into it? Nobody was safe. Jonathan Majors caught a nice 2-piece and an uppercut. Ludacris caught a nice little elbow. But the main culprit, the main victims here were Cedric the Entertainer, Ricky Smiley, and Steve Harvey. Now, anybody else that caught a stray or got a piece, Diddy got some, but he's been getting some here of late. I don't know if there's any saving his reputation. That shit's in the toilet at this point. I never liked Diddy anyway. I always just thought he was a bad dude. Ever since he beat up his son's football coach, hit him with a weight over some bullshit, I was like, yeah, you a different dude, and you think you're invincible, and you really starting to believe that you can't be touched. Now, I didn't know about all the booty hole warrior shit that he had going on, but I'm not surprised. That Hollywood shit, that's not for me, right? That's not for me. And it's a lot of nonsense that goes on behind closed doors that we're starting to find out about. You know, I'm a huge comedy guy. Y'all know I love to laugh. I'm a huge fan of Dave Chappelle. He's been uncovering a lot of that bullshit behind the scenes. We know about the Me Too movement and all the things that have been uncovered here, the Harvey Weinsteins and all of that stuff. Jeffrey, whatever his name is, I can't think of his name. You know, all of these dudes that have had shit going on. It's starting to uncover a lot of nonsense in Hollywood. We've been hearing about some of this stuff. Oh yeah, Kevin Hart. Somebody said you can't leave out Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart is a plant. I don't know how to react to that. We gonna deep dive into all of the different allegations, all of the things that have been said about just about everybody on that podcast that I can recollect, and you might have to help me because it was again 2 hours and 56 minutes. So there's a lot that was talked about in that interview. Clearly, Kanye was in there, but he didn't say anything really wrong about Kanye. He pretty much said, the hell did y'all think was going to happen? Like, and I agree with everything he said. Like, Kanye has a mental disorder. He has a chemical imbalance. Y'all put him on this pedestal. You told him he was a genius, and his mom died. He lost his damn mind, and he's never sought help since. So this is the end result. This is the product that you get. He called Kim a whore. I don't think anybody disagrees with that. I don't think anybody would have said it that way, but he wasn't holding any punches, right? Anybody who was anybody could get the smoke the other day, right? Anyway, one of the funniest things was, first of all, he dropped the bar of bars for 2024. I don't think anybody can top the bar that he dropped. And 2024 is only 5 days old. He said to Shannon, something to the effect of, and I'm trying to remember exactly what he said, but I know I'm going to butcher this. But he said, your unnatural allegiance to losers is somewhat surprising, or something to that effect. and all you can do in that moment is just laugh, like, whoa. And Shannon was in a tough spot because he's like, yo, these are my friends. I had all of these guys on my show. So how do I even respond to any of this? He even said after the show, it was tough sitting there listening to him talk shit about my friends. What are you going to do, though? Michael Blackson, yep, he got some, you know. And then I read his response on social media, and I'm like, bro, like, you funny, but you ain't, like, he put himself in a conversation, like, he came after all. He said, first of all, Katt ain't the same Katt from 2005. He's irrelevant. And I'm like, whoa, 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 slow down there, buddy. Slow down there. And then he said that he came after the top 10 dudes in comedy and came after the top 5 or whatever. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're not even in that discussion, bro. So wait, you need to pump your brakes and drive slow, homie. Drive slow. You talking about him coming after them for clout and trying to make himself relevant because he knew if he talked about them that they would have something to say and it would make him relevant again. You talking about him isn't going to make him relevant again. I don't know how fake your African accent is or not. That didn't bother me. That didn't move me. He just said, hey, I gave him some advice. He told me to get lost, and then he took the advice I gave him, used it, and benefited from it, and never gave me any credit. And that was the gist. That was the crux of the entire episode, essentially. Like, that was the root of the problem, was like, look, man, I might not like these dudes. I got beef with all of them for various reasons, but y'all keep my name out your mouth. Y'all keep shit status quo. Y'all don't come up here lying and failing to give people credit for the shit that they've done. And I'm good. Like, you stay in your lane, I stay in mine, and you ain't got to worry about me outing you. But the minute you cross that line, I got to let you know you out of line. And I'm going to have to go ahead and light your ass up. And that's what happened. And he started off with Ricky Smiley. And he, and Ricky, he had talked about the Friday after next role that he had, and said that he originally was going to be cast as the pimp, which was Money Mike in that movie, which we all know was the breakthrough role for Katt Williams, and sent his career, him and Terry Crews and so many others, into the stratosphere, right? Really made their careers what they have morphed into today. And so Katt Williams was like, bro, wait, what are you talking about? I wrote the Money Mike script. Like, I did that. I designed everything that had that Money Mike was, down to his appearance, his hair, the car that he drove. I even made sure that they had real pimps in the movie, like Bishop Don Juan. Like what are you talking about, bro? And so that pissed him off. And then he went slam off on Ricky Smiley. And he talked about the thing that hit me hard, like, whoa, wait a minute, bro, was he said, I put in my contract that if I were to do another movie with Ricky Smiley, he had to wear a dress. I was like, come on, Katt, man, chill, bro. Chill out, man. He said, what did he do in the next movie? That I find that one hard to believe. Like, I think he just knew that the next movie that they were in together, he had on a dress. And so, but that's crazy right there. For him to even say that was wild, right? Pretty much said he's one-dimensional as an actor, which is why he hasn't had any other roles other than dressing up as a female. The Lil Daryl thing was his stick early on in his career, really never evolved after that. And he pretty much said, yeah, he's one-dimensional. That's all he can do. Him and Tyler Perry, all they can do, Tyler Perry caught a stray. All they can do is act like women because they can't act like a man in a movie. Damn. Ouch. Okay. Then he moved on, and I had already been privy to the whole joke stealing thing with um, Steve Harvey. Like, so Mark Curry, I don't know if y'all had been aware of this, but Mark Curry had already been going around and pretty much saying, look, Steve Harvey stole my entire act, bro. And anybody that grew up in that era like I did, you know that he stole his entire shtick. Literally, the Steve Harvey show came straight from Mark Curry's show. Like literally everything down to the actual premise of the show. Right? Like, it's amazing to me. And you know, sometimes I show mercy and grace to actors, comedians, whomever, because if you don't check Hollywood writers and directors, just like in the music industry, they're always chasing a hit, right? And Hanging with Mr. Cooper was a hit. And so the easiest thing to do, instead of going out and finding a new template, you're just going to go with the one that works. And if you don't check those in Hollywood and say, no, that's somebody else's, let me do my own thing, they'll just take somebody else's shit, copy it, and paste it. And that's exactly what they did with the Steve Harvey show. Think about the show, if you can recall. First of all, one of the pictures that's a promo for the show is Mark Curry standing like this with his tie in his hand like this. There's the exact same picture of Steve Harvey shooting a promo for the Steve Harvey show with him holding his tie just like Mark Curry. Like, you can't make this shit up. The premise of Hanging with Mr. Cooper was that he trying out for the Golden State Warriors. It didn't work out. He stayed in that Golden State area, ended up being a teacher at the school, ended up turning into the principal, stayed with one of his co-workers, etc., etc. The exact same premise for Steve Harvey show. Like, you can't make this shit up. He was in a band. They was trying to get back together. It didn't work out. He ended up being a teacher at the school, you know, and he's living at home with one of his co-workers. Like, the shit was the exact same premise. Like, what in the hell, bro? Then he was stealing his jokes, and Mark Curry has receipts. So I had no mercy on Steve Harvey, none. And I've heard people talk about how unapproachable Steve Harvey is, how he's big-headed. I got nothing against Steve Harvey. I don't know him. I've never felt like Steve Harvey was that funny, though. That's just me. When we talking kings of comedy, it was always Bernie Mac. I'm going downstairs to get some milk and cookies. It was always Bernie Mac. Why you think he went last? That wasn't even his tour. That was supposed to be Steve Harvey's tour. He wanted to go last, but he wasn't funny enough to go last. He resented Bernie Mac for being funnier than him. So I've never been a big fan of Steve Harvey. So when he was airing Steve Harvey out, I was like, get his ass. I'm in the background egging him on. Get his ass. Damn right. Let him have that shit. Don't lie and tell people you stopped doing stand-up because you're doing all of this shit. No, you stopped doing stand-up because you're trash. That's why. Killed him and talked about his hair unit. You know, he had me fooled for the longest time. The longest time, bro. It was crazy because I went to sleep one night. Steve Harvey had the perfect high top fade, and then that transitioned into this nice, neat, tight fro with the sharpest edge up you've ever seen in your life. I woke up the next morning and the man was bald-headed, clean shaved, bald head. What in the hell just happened? that shit was never his. That's why. It all makes sense now. You know? And people have always had an issue with Steve Harvey. They, even going back to when he met with Trump, like he's always rubbed me the wrong way. Right? He's always struck me as a guy that's all about the dollars, and he'll sell his soul. He has no integrity. As long as he's making money, he don't care. That's always how he struck me. Again, I don't know the man, but listening to Katt sounds pretty accurate to me. Then you got the Cedric, and Ced, for me, I like Ced. So him going in on Ced was like, man, did you have to do my guy Ceddy like that, right? Because I like Ced. I don't like The Neighborhood, the show that he has on CBS. It's corny, it's whack. I don't watch it, but whatever. Get your bread. I'm not upset about that. But I've always liked Cedric the Entertainer. And by all accounts, from people that I've listened to talk about Cedric, he's a really nice dude. He's very personable. Nobody's got beef with Cedric the Entertainer. And to me, his issue with Ced was that he stole a joke from him. Anybody that has seen the joke performed by Katt Williams knows that it's pretty much the same joke. Now, he remixed it. It's no different than you essentially taking a song and you using that song, sampling a song, and not giving the original artist credit. That's essentially what Katt was saying. Like, look, bro, we had this conversation after I initially approached you about stealing my joke, and you apologized, and I said, all right, we good. For you to then come on this show and act like that conversation never happened and that you never stole the joke, now I got an issue, and now I got to air you out. And at the end of the day, people just want credit for their shit. It's literally the same joke. He just removed the car and turned it into a spaceship. Everybody that's seen the joke knows the joke that he's talking about. I used to watch Def Comedy Jam. I used to watch Comic View. So I know the exact joke that he's talking about. And of course, we all have seen Kings of Comedy, the original Kings of Comedy. We know the joke that he's talking about. Anyway, he went in on Ced. He said he's supposed to be Cedric the Entertainer because he's supposed to sing, dance, and write. He said he can't sing, he can't dance, and he doesn't write. Then somebody else, I was on socials, and this shit gets messy because now when Katt Williams brings up all of these allegations, what's going to happen on the interweb, right? Every single patron on social media now turns into a detective and a grade A sleuth. So what's about to happen. Oh, we going and we digging up shit. We going and finding receipts. And there was a joke from a show that a lot of y'all probably didn't watch. I used to watch this on reruns. It used to put me to sleep, called Designing Women. And it was a joke where, and Cedric tells a bunch of these jokes. I've seen that stand up before, where he essentially mashes up multiple words because it's like somebody down south talking and you can't really understand them. So I forgot the word that was mashed up together, but it was something about initials, right? But it's like bolicious or some shit like that. And the joke was first told in like 1987, 88, 89, late 80s. Designing Women was like late 80s into the early 90s. and somebody played that clip and then played the clip of Cedric telling the joke. And like I said, he had other words that he mashed together. That was one of them, though. And so it looked like he stole the joke. And so when you see stuff like that, and again, that doesn't really bother me. You know, comedians, they do that from time to time. You in order to steer clear of that, you got to write your own shit. You can't have others writing for you because you don't know where they're getting their material from. You want your shit to make sure that it's original. You got to write it yourself. That's how you know it's organic. I wrote this. Nobody else wrote this for me. I was a part of that process. Or you could just be like Dave Chappelle and pick on the trans community and handicap people like he did in his last special. Like Dave is an asshole, right? But the said one, it seemed a little bit less malicious. He just was disappointed that he just didn't give him his credit, right? He's like, bro, you literally came to my show. You sat there, you came, you met me after the show. We talked. You told me how you love my set. And then 2 years later, you're doing my joke on the original Kings of Comedy. Like, make it make sense. Then there was Kevin Hart. And this one kind of came out of nowhere for me. You know, Kevin called Kevin Hart a plant. I was like, well, damn. For those of you that don't know what a plant is, essentially a plant is a person that is put into a position by the powers that be for the sake of controlling a situation, right? So an example of a plant would be you're in the music industry and there's a lane that's void right now, right? Let's say that, what's the dude that why can't I remember his name right now? What's the dude that performed on Thanksgiving in Detroit and everybody killed him? Everybody killed him for his performance. It was trash. Dude is super talented. He played in White Man Can't Jump, the remake. What's his name? Y'all tell me his name real quick. I forgot his name. I'm waiting for y'all to put it in the comment section. Jack Harlow. Thank you. I bleed blue. I bleed Giants blue. Jack Harlow. So a plant would be, and I'm not saying Jack Harlow's a plant. I'm just saying if he didn't exist, because he's really the one white rapper right now that is carrying the torch for the white rappers, you know, outside of Eminem, who's still doing it at a high level, right? Let's say that there was no white rappers, though, in the industry right now, and they wanted to fill that void, and somebody comes out of nowhere. You ain't never heard of this dude. He ain't been on nobody's tour. You ain't heard no mixtapes, nothing from this dude. He just comes out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, he's popping and he's buzzing. People would look at him and say, where the hell did this dude come from? That's an industry plant. They put him in that position to be successful, to kind of control and balance things out. And people look at Kevin Hart. Not people. Katt Williams looks at Kevin Hart and says he's a plant because Kevin, you know, and this is the thing. Katt Williams' biggest issue is, bro, just don't lie. Like, look, if you want to tell your story, that's fine. I may not agree with all the parts of your story, but just don't lie, right? He's like, bro, we just watched the Netflix special with you and Chris Rock that they put out. Like, it's called Headliners or something like that. And I've watched a couple of Kevin Hart specials and a couple of Kevin Hart things where we know he's Philly based. He's from the East Coast. But yet, you know, in Katt's mind, he's like, bro, but he keeps trying to tell everybody he grew up out here and made his bones and cut his teeth in the game on the West Coast. And that's a lie. You didn't do that. now Kevin busted his ass to me to get where he got. It's not like he just showed up. He was doing the small comedy clubs on the East Coast. He was fighting, trying to find a way to break into the industry. And once he finally broke through, he became big, and the rest is history. Katt had another issue with him because he's like, bro, everything that he got, that came across my desk first. And he said, like, even with the Friday movie, he was like, look, that was my first major film. That was my breakthrough role. I had not been in anything to that point. And he told the story of being homeless, sleeping in the trailer, right? And he said, there was a rape scene. We all know the scene when he's in the bathroom. Damon comes in with the phone books tied to his torso. And that was supposed to be a rape scene. And he was like, bro, come on now. Like, there's under no circumstance is rape ever funny. This is supposed to be a funny movie. That shit is not funny. So he's like, we're not doing that. We can make this funny without a rape scene. We can do that. So he did that, right? And so he would get scripts all the time. And he was like, bro, we can do a lot of these scripts without the shucking and jiving. And, the demasculinity and all of the shit that you got, he called it step and fetch it type shit that was in these scripts. He's like, bro, we can do without this. And they would go, oh, okay, cool. And then they would go and give the script to Kevin, and Kevin would do everything that was in the script. So he kind of lost respect for Kevin Hart in doing that. So he calls Kevin Hart and Tyler Perry, and I think this is true specifically with Tyler Perry, but he calls Kevin Hart, Tyler Perry, and Steve Harvey gatekeepers. And we've heard Monique talk about this when she got blackballed, when she couldn't get a role. You have people that are in positions of power, and that's part of why he called him a plant, because Kevin Hart is one of the most, if not the most powerful comedian in the game right now. And so he feels like he was planted there for them to be able to control him, and by controlling him, control a portion of that industry, if that makes any sense. So a plan is essentially an artificially manufactured success story, essentially. Like, they put you there and they make you successful. And the same thing he said about Jonathan Majors. Like, bro, what do you expect to happen when they make you? He's saying now he was mean to Jonathan Majors. Okay. He was mean. He's like, hey, this dude ugly as hell. Since when did a big ass nose spread out across your face? And then he went in on all other features of his, how he looks. And he's like, when did that become sexy? I'm like, God damn, Katt. And yeah, he went in on Jonathan Majors and pretty much said, hey, it is what it is. That's what happens when you let them make you. Because if they make you, they can break you. If they give you all of this, they can take it away just like that. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong, right? Let's see. Who else did he talk about? I mean, it was so much of this thing. Now, I don't believe he read 3,000 books every year from the age of 8 to 13 or whatever he said. He probably read a lot of, I believe he read a lot of books. It's on record that he is a genius. Like, his IQ was tested and it was like 161 or some shit like that. Like, he's literally a genius. So I'm not debating that this guy was reading fluently at the age of 3 or 4 years old. I don't doubt that he was probably bilingual by 5 or 6 because of his upbringing. I'm not. That doesn't shock me. When you listen to him talk, he's very eloquent. He's very measured. As when he talked about the radio host, I forgot her name, that he crucified. We all heard that. Killed her on the air. And he started using big words that he knew she wasn't going to understand, right? And he's smart about how he goes about it. He's like, I can't attack her hair because then I'm going to piss off short-haired black women. Not going to talk about her weight. I don't want to piss off, heavy-set women. But what I can talk about is her fingers, and he started going in on other, features of her body. And that's the thing about comedians that I think people fail to realize is they're funny and they're relentless. And once you push them, they're not going to stop. You done effed up. I done been to shows where somebody gets drunk and they in the front row and they say some dumb shit and the comedian gives them a chance like, bro, hey, get your bitch. Like literally they'll say some shit like yo, get your lady. I'm about to tear her ass up. Right. And or yo, my man, chill, bro. You don't want this smoke. I got the mic. I will destroy your ass. I've been at shows where dudes got destroyed, where females got crucified. Cops had to be called. Shit got ugly. I've been at shows. So when you take a comedian there, it's over, bro. Wanda Smith. Thank you, Cherish. It was Wanda Smith. Killed her. He was like, I'm going there. We thought we were going to talk about this, that, and the third. And she unloads on me as soon as we get on the air. And he let Wanda Smith have it. And he should have seen Shannon. Shannon thought he was talking about Wanda Sykes. He's like, whoa, wait a minute. Wanda Sykes, that's my girl. He's like, no. I'm not talking about Wanda Sykes. Okay? I just said Wanda. Right? He talked about Ludacris. First of all, he started the show by talking about how all of these actors have the same wife, right? He's like, it's like 7 of them, light skin. And he said something about their features. It was funny. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. And then he just went about his business. He said it's about 7 of them. All their wives look the same, nondescript. You don't never see their ass. They're not cute, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, God damn, Katt. And then he said, he went about his business and he kept talking. And that was one of the things he called out about Steve Harvey, because he said Steve Harvey pretty much stole his life story. Like, bro, you were never homeless. That was my story. I was the one that was homeless. You were never homeless. He said, which one is it? You credited your first wife with changing your life, and now you got a whole nother wife and you credit her with changing your life. So which one is it? So he was killing Steve Harvey. But with Ludacris, he said, we both were in the Illuminati. He said we were in the Illuminati and they chose one of us. And they told him he had to get rid of the sideburns that went to his mouth and this, that, and the third, and pretty much gave him a $2 million contract, essentially. And Shannon Sharpe was like, what? And he's like, how many Fast and Furious movies they done? What number are they on now? He's like, 10. He said. And Shannon was looking like, oh, shit. Because Ludacris is like in 5 or 6 of them bitches. And he getting about 10 to 15 per pop. They paying them boys a bunch of money. The bag is robust for those Fast and the Furious movies. It was one of the greatest tongue lashings we've ever seen. And he went to Diddy, and we all know about Diddy. He went to TD Jakes. I was like, damn, not TD. We heard stories. We heard innuendos and rumblings about TD, But you tread lightly when you're talking about Bishop TD Jakes, right? You don't go as far, but you hear stuff. We heard stuff, But he just pretty much was like, nah. He rolled with Diddy and them. He was like, look, I've turned, and I wanted him to dive into the Dave stuff. He was primed, and Shannon was like, look, I need to, early on in the episode, I need to take this liquor from you. He's like, bro, I'm not under the influence. You know how Katt talk. I'm not under the influence. Everything that I say is from a clear mind. Right? He said, it was crazy because he's like, I turned down 50 million before, and I thought he was gonna get into the Dave stuff. He was this close, and then he veered off and start talking about himself, and he never came back. But he talked about all of the things that you're required to do. One of my favorite shows on HBO Max is the Michael Che show. And if you don't know who Michael Che is, he used to be on Saturday Night Live. He used to do the Weekend Update with his best friend. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. But they both went to, if I'm not mistaken, they both went to Harvard together. Michael Che's extremely funny. And one of the episodes he did on his show talked about, in order to get a major role or to become famous in Hollywood, you got to do some gay shit to get the role, right? So he was making, fun of that and jokes about that. And, a lot of people laugh at that. But the more and more that you listen to people talk, the more and more that shit is true. Now, not everybody, like, you'll never hear Denzel Washington's name caught up in any of this shit. None of it. He's never in the spotlight. Him and his wife are living their best life off to the side. You only see Denzel when he's out here making a movie and he's got to promote it. Other than that, he's back at the crib chilling. He'll come out for the award shows and then he's back at the crib. He don't get caught up in none of this bullshit. That's how I would do it. But I've heard Jamie Foxx's name, and that's my guy. But I've heard Jamie Foxx's name rolled up in this shit. We know Diddy is all up in this shit. I mean, we're hearing all kinds of people's names being wrapped up into this shit. And Katt was like, they wanted me to do things. No one's ever sucked my penis and no one's ever done anything to my butthole. My butthole is virgin, he said. I have a virgin butthole. Okay. Like, yikes. And then I was listening to Gary Owens, and he said, because, he was like, whoa, did I just catch a stray? And he had to go to socials, he said, to make sure that he didn't catch a stray. And people were like, nah, bro, you good. He pretty much saying, you haven't crossed over because you didn't sell your soul, right? You good. He was big upping you for keeping it real. And he said, I once was in a room and they were pitching a movie to me, and he said, I was pretty early in my career, and he said, I felt the conversation turning like, is this happening right now? Is this dude coming on to me? So this shit exists, man. Hollywood is as a wise man once said, it's an evil, evil world, right? Hollywood is a nasty, dirty place, man. It's nasty, man. Yikes. He told a story about Nick Cannon and, his relationship with Nick Cannon. And I do know that Gary Owens said, I got to fact check him on this one. He said, because he said he met Nick Cannon when he was 14. And it might have been just semantics. a couple years off. Because even when he was telling the story about the Cedric the Entertainer joke, he had said the wrong time frame at first, and the producer had to correct him, like, just to make sure we on the same page. You meant 1998, not 2018, right? Because the Kings of Comedy was in 2000. So he's like, yeah. But he had said he met Nick Cannon backstage because when you're an underage comedian, you got to wait in the kitchen. And he always would bring his kids with him because a lot of that time he was homeless. So he would always have his kids with him, and he's a single dad. He didn't have anybody to keep his kids. So they'd have to come with him. And so he met Nick Cannon when he was like 14, he said. And then Gary Owen was like, bro, I gotta bite you on this one, because he said Nick Cannon was born in 1980. He looked it up, and he was like, I met Nick Cannon when he was 16, and he didn't go to LA until he was like 17. So he's like, hey, it's highly unlikely you met him at 14. But again, I believe Katt about him meeting Nick Cannon and them having a tight relationship. The number might have been off slightly or whatever, but he talked about all the times he went to jail, and he's never been convicted. We've seen the mug shots of him looking crazy, and he's like, bro, I've never done drugs. And he told the story of why he doesn't do drugs. He was homeless, and listened to all the stories of the people that were, homeless, and that scared him straight, he pretty much said, right? So, and I believe him on that too. He's like, look, I smoke weed like crazy. Like, I'm not denying that. I smoke more weed than Snoop Dogg. He's like, it helps me eat and it helps me sleep. But you rarely find that kind of honesty in Hollywood, because I always talk about how NFL owners don't like pulling the curtains back on a fellow owner because they all got skeletons in their closet. And they don't want to out somebody, because if it can happen to him, it can happen to me. Remember Daniel Snyder was throwing a temper tantrum, and he was like, yo, I got shit on all of y'all. Don't y'all push me. I'll push the button, because I know shit about all of y'all. And he probably did know some stuff about all of them. But at the end of the day, people in Hollywood keep their mouth closed because, one, they don't want to be blackballed. You start talking about shit, and people are going to make sure that you don't work or you don't make, a living in Hollywood any longer, right? So that's one. Two, you don't want people sniffing around your shit. You can't throw rocks and you live in a glass house, right? You can't throw stones and live in a glass house, and you can't throw a rock and hide your hand. A lot of these dudes, a lot of these females, a lot of these people in Hollywood are shady characters. And I always appreciate when people can be honest. There were some things in there where I was like, come on, Katt. For real? Seriously? But for the most part, I believe a lot of what he said. And again, some of the dates may be off, but you fact check a lot of what he said, and the things you can't prove, you've heard from other people. And that's the thing, right? Like, I've heard stories from other people that kind of align with what he had to say. So I'm not shocked by anything he said. I'm shocked that he said what he said in the manner that he said it, and about how many people he unloaded on and said it about. That's what I'm shocked by. We've always known Katt Williams to be honest. Always. But he literally took the internet and turned the shit upside down. Had the entire internet, not social media, the entire internet in a chokehold for about 24 to 36 hours. I'm talking about a mean $1 million dream. I'm talking about a cross-faced chicken wing. That was a hell of an interview. If you haven't watched it, do yourself a favor. Look, it's long, but me being the king of long form content, that's nothing for me. I eat 2 hours and 56 minutes like it's 2 minutes and 56 seconds. I sat there. I got through all the ads, and I sat there and I watched every single second of that damn interview. And, you know, Shannon was over there like, oh my God, am I even going to have a show after this? Bro, you had 11 million views within 24 hours. That shit's probably up to 15, 16, 17 million views. It'll get to 20 before it's all said and done. Might even hit 30. So I'll just say this. Shannon might have been uncomfortable for those 3 hours, essentially. He said, look, Katt came in talking greasy. He said, I wish I had the cameras rolling when he first came in. I'd love to know what he said. He told everybody from the jump, hey, this about to be the reverse of Kirk Franklin right now. It's about to be real ugly in here. I'm just getting started. He might have been uncomfortable for 3 hours, but he ain't gonna be uncomfortable when he sees all the attention that this is, and he's well aware of what has just transpired. Katt Williams just did him a massive favor because Katt even said it, like, you've created a safe space for people to come on your show and tell the truth. And when you do that, you invite others to follow suit. And with Katt doing what he just did, other people are going to go up there and he's going to be able to get guests to come up there and spill their guts. And it never hurts when you're drinking liquor too. But I mean, Katt was talking crazy before, you know, they really got into it. So I digress, man. It was crazy. Oh, Faison Love. I'm glad somebody brought him up. Faison Love, he murdered Faison Love. Murdered him. Cedric, I forgot to bring this up, but he said Cedric got 4 stand-ups and neither one of them were good enough to be on Netflix or Tubi. And he repeated it just for good measure. And the disrespect levels there, I don't know if you can really understand the disrespect level when he said that. Because you go to the highest, Netflix is the highest, Tubi is the lowest, okay? And you're not on the highest or the lowest. He could have just said Tubi and just left it at that. But he had to let you know, you ain't on my level. I'm all over Netflix. You can't even get your shit on Tubi, bro. Ooh. And then Faison said, hey, Faison Love ain't never been given a special. Ain't never been given a special. He said, only thing you can do is take your damn shirt off. And it made me think of Money Talks when he was in jail. And he was talking to him. And he was like, yeah. Hey, and where your shirt at? Like, I don't, that's all I can think of. It's like, damn, he ain't lying. Every damn movie he take his goddamn shirt off. He even took his shit off in the replacements. Anyway, you know, Shannon tried to stand up for Faison Love. He's like, come on, man, you can't do that to Big Worm. You can't do that to him. And Katt was looking at him like, the hell I can't. I don't even know like what that beef was all about. I don't even recall what that beef was about. Clearly he did something, but I can't even recall what that was. Hey, that damn interview was hilarious. It was crazy. He talked about Martin. He talked about Brandon T. Jackson. You know, he didn't disrespect Martin, but he kind of talked about how disappointed he was in the Big Mama's house too. Like, bro, okay, you already did the dress thing. Why you running that back? You could do anything you want. Why you dressing up again? He's like, look, I'm not doing that shit. Go get Brandon T. Jackson. And I watched an interview with Brandon T. Jackson like 3 years ago. He was on this channel, this YouTube channel that I watch from time to time called Comedy Hype. And he talked about that decision to do Big Mama's house too, and how he felt like that was one of the biggest mistakes of his career. So yeah, I mean, Katt was like, look, pretty much I have integrity, I have morals, I have things that I will not do. And if you're willing to do that, that's fine by me. But just know that it wouldn't let that shit happen to me though. It's real simple. Okay. Wouldn't let that shit happen to me though. And yeah, like I said, a lot of people either caught a stray or he just unloaded on them. Like this wasn't a stray, bro. This is directly at your head top. And he wasn't missing. He was not missing. Anyway, I digress. Hey, it's a hell of a show. I encourage anybody that is interested. It may not be for you, but I encourage anybody that is interested to give it a look-see. You will not regret it. It is long. Okay. You may be more of a shorts type of person, and trust me, they've cut up so many portions of that show. You may be better getting it in smaller increments if that's more of your speed. But it's better if you just get it all in one setting. I'm gonna just be honest with you. It's better if you get it all in one setting. Anyway, I digress. What's crazy is a lot of people have responded. Kevin Hart said, you gotta get that hate out your heart, buddy, or something to that effect. And Katt said, look, here's the thing. Kevin Hart has been in this industry for 25 years or so. We've never been in the same building before. Do you think that that's on accident? That's by design. He said, when I walk in the building, people put their head down. Like, they don't F with me. And I think there is a level of respect. You could call it fear. You call it whatever. But Katt has established himself. We used to think that people like Katt Williams would end up no longer existing on this earth. Because if you're black, you're born a conspiracy theorist, whether you like it or not. How did Whitney Houston die? We all have theories, right? We can go on and on. How did Michael Jackson die? And look, I'm not telling you Michael Jackson was a saint, but we all have theories on how these things took place. So when you hear things and you see how things work and how these issues are usually dealt with, I remember when he first started speaking the truth, I was like, hey man, if something happens to him, I'm gonna really be thinking that some real foul shit took place. Anyway, I digress. And they talked about Prince. Prince was one of his really good friends. We all feel the same way about Prince, because Prince was another one of those dudes that was uncovering the bullshit in Hollywood. and how these, labels and how things were going. He was one of the first people to speak up. But anyway, I digress. Let's get to the comment section. That was supposed to be the gym dropping session this whole time, and I just dove in. So we could go to social media maneuvers, man. Y'all know what it is. I'm a midday marauder. What's crazy is I was in my civil rights bag, with MLK Day coming up around the corner. I was in my civil rights bag. So I was already on my conspiracy theory shit before I watched that Katt Williams episode. 2 nights before, I just watched who killed Sam Cooke. And so then, I had been meaning to watch One Night in Miami. So after I watched the Sam Cooke documentary, it was a natural transition right into One Night in Miami, right? Don't get me started on Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying? Like, so then hearing Katt Williams talking, I'm like, be careful, Katt. Be careful. But he's been doing this for years, man. He's been doing this for years. He'll be fine. He's a big boy. He can handle himself. So I ain't worried. I digress. Let's get to the comment section, man. We're going to start it off with the Blackout B. Y'all know how this works. First and foremost, let me just say this real quick. If you're out there, you want your comment read, use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the air. If it is pertinent, we'll get to as many comments as we can, time permitting. But if you want to ensure that your comment is read, the only way to do that is to super chat. So, Blackout B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Blackout B writes, "What up, Lou? What's going on, Blackout B?" Says, "Just saw the whole joint last night at work." First of all, if you watching a 3-hour show at work, you ain't doing shit at work. Shame on you. you still in time on the clock. Oh, he says, "I don't know if Katt was telling the whole truth, like reading 3,000 books by the like. I don't think he did that shit either. But I think he was just trying to hammer home the point that, and he didn't say he read 3,000 books by the age. He said I was reading 3,000 books a year. If I'm not mistaken, he said I was reading 3,000 books a year from like age 8 to like 13 is what he said, something to that effect. But even if it was I read 3,000 books by the age of 8, I don't believe that shit either. But what he was trying to convey to us is, bro, while most of y'all was just trying to get a hang of walking and how to, run and how to, get your motor skills together, I was reading in the entire encyclopedia edition 2 because I already ran through in edition 1. Who grew up with the encyclopedia, the bookshelf full of encyclopedias? Raise your hand. See, that's something that these young cats will never know nothing about. You got the internet. Before there was the internet, you had to do a book report. You had to take your ass and read the goddamn encyclopedia. And you had to cite that shit. Anyway, that's an episode of, Flashback Friday or Way Back Wednesday or whatever when we get back to the throwback episodes down the road. He says, "But Lord have mercy, who didn't know Steve was wearing a man unit?" Look, man, I just thought, damn, his shit sharp, bro. I did not know it was a man unit. I didn't know. For the longest time, I didn't know. I always used to say, God damn, how did Steve Harvey's edge up get so sharp? That's all I used to think to myself. Like, and you know what? Now looking back on it, I was dumb as bricks. Just as slow as I could be, because don't nobody got that perfect of a damn afro. His shit was the most perfect. I mean, like, there wasn't a blade of hair out of place. And his edge up was too damn sharp. You ain't never seen an edge up that damn sharp in your life. I should have known. Now that I'm looking back on it, all the warning signs were there. All the warning signs were there. I was just being slow, not really paying attention to detail, right? So that's on me. That's on me. Anyway, I digress. Black Al B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes? Yo, Lou, you believe in the Illuminati? Part of me wants to say, nah, that shit don't exist. But it's too many coincidences. And when people try to convince you something doesn't exist by making fun of it, that usually means the shit is there. Like, when, and I'm a conspiracy theorist when it comes to certain things. Like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist when it comes to the NFL. Oh, the league is rigged. Nah, that's not my shit. It's just too many people have to be involved for the NFL to be rigged, right? But for something like the Illuminati to exist, a secret society where people, the 1%ers, the 3%ers, 5%ers, however many percent you want to call them, are controlling things. Yeah, I do think that does exist. And, again, when people try to discredit someone, usually they try to make you feel like that person's crazy, right? That's the easiest way to discredit someone, is to say they're crazy. Don't listen to them. And you make them sound like the shit that they say doesn't make any sense. So people go, oh, he just talking that crazy shit. Like, for instance, what is her damn name? It's going to come to me. Come on. I'm singing a song in my head. Jaguar Wright. Her ass is crazy. She's crazy. But there's some truth in the shit that she's saying. You got to parse through some of the crazy to get to the truth. But it's easy to discredit somebody like Jaguar Wright. Why? Because you just say she's crazy. She's hating on Beyonce. She's hating on Jay-Z. She's a hater. She's crazy. I guarantee you 40% of the shit she's saying, I can't guarantee you that. Can't confirm nor deny, but I bet you 40% of the shit she's saying has validity to it. But it's easy to dismiss her and say, don't listen to nothing she say because her ass is crazy. That's what people do when they want you to not believe somebody, because they probably telling the truth. Is you make them seem like that's what they did to Katt. That's what they tried to do to Katt Williams when he would get arrested. That shit wasn't coincidental. And then they would show the mugshots of him smiling, looking crazy. And so everybody go, his ass crazy, don't listen to him. They do it all the time. I'm not telling you Michael Jackson was a saint. And I'm not telling you that Michael Jackson probably didn't do some shit. He didn't do everything that they say he was doing, though. And the easiest way to discredit him is to make him look like the villain. I mean, I could do this all day with y'all, but at the end of the day, people are trying to convince us the Illuminati doesn't exist because their ass is in the Illuminati. So they make fun of it to make it seem like the shit doesn't exist, like we're crazy for thinking the shit exists. No, that shit exists. Illuminati is real. There's definitely a third eye out there. Like, you listen, like Jay-Z tell you everything is in the music. He told us this shit exists. He told us he was infected with the evils. Listen to that song. Listen to that song. Listen to the words in that song. He's telling you that the Illuminati is real. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, I believe in that shit. Video channel. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Video channel. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Katt's next special is going to be crazy money. I mean, he said he's recording another one, and he was telling Shannon that it's going to probably be in some part of LA. I forgot which part he said, but and Shannon was like, yo, I got to catch that. I mean, I think it's gonna be the same as it always is. I don't expect it to be that much more crazy. I mean, he's been talking like this forever. And I think a lot of people thought, oh, Chris Rock's, special. I think it was Tambourine was the one where after he got slapped by, oh, this shit gonna be crazy. This shit was all right. It wasn't all that, So I don't know if it's gonna be that much crazy. We'll see. It could be. He said he's already getting 8 figures per special. So I mean, I don't know if it's not gonna get much higher than what it already is, right? He's already getting broke off. Just Andre. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Just Andre writes, do you think MJ touched those kids? I'm not saying he's never touched a kid, but some of these kids are not believable. They're just not. I don't believe a lot of them. A lot of their stories don't add up for me. The math ain't mathing, right? I'm not telling you, again, Mike's childhood was effed up. And because of that, I think he had some demons that he was fighting, and he never grew up. That was the problem with Mike, was he didn't get to live a childhood that he wanted to experience. So when he was an adult, he was still acting like he was a kid. So that's a complex question, man. That's a complex situation. And I'm somewhat biased. There's a lot of love for Mike. And so I know this much. They put a lot of shit on Mike that didn't happen. I do know that. There was a lot of shit that they tried to charge him with and they never could prove anything. I do know that. Black Al B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you. My guy Black Al B writes, in regards to stealing time, shh, don't tell nobody. hey, look at me. Look at me, man. Look at me, man. We done all been there, bro. Okay, we've all been there. I can talk freely about mine because my days are over with. I'm not punching the clock no more. So let's just make sure that we don't incriminate ourselves. Okay, let's just for future references on this particular show, let's not incriminate ourselves. Now, trust me, your employer isn't watching the Louie T Network podcast, so you're good. Okay, but just to be safe and for future references, let's not incriminate ourselves. Okay. Wilfredo Elias, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Wilfredo writes, I don't believe the Illuminati exists as presented to us, but there is for sure a group pulling strings, and Katt is just exposing what he's allowed to. So what do you call them if you don't call them the Illuminati? I mean, that's essentially what they are. There is a secret society, a group, if you will, that is behind the scenes, that wields all the power. I mean, that same group controls the country. If you want to be honest, they control the president. Like, this shit goes way deeper than any of us know. But again, we can sit here and talk conspiracy theories all day long. I'm not gonna bore y'all with that shit, man. I'm gonna sound crazy at the end of this shit. Anyway, let's get to the comment section and see what y'all talking about real quick. Yeah, we gonna get a couple because we clearly don't have enough time to get to as many comments as I would like to. But because I still got to give y'all my money picks of the week. So we'll get to Cam G writes, it's good to see Shannon Sharp have his own podcast. He's way more authentic and guests enjoy him way better than him on TV. But that's what happens. This is why I've been telling people this for years. Going back to when I first broke into the business, into the game, my initial goal when I started this was to get on the NFL Network. I had a script, I had a show, I had the time slot that I wanted, I had everything mapped out. And I was going to pitch my show. I literally was going to go to New York and pitch my show to them. And as I got deeper into the game, I realized, why do I need to go pitch a show to be on television when this is the new medium? I don't have anybody telling me when I got to shoot, what I can say, how I can say it, none of that shit. I control my product. Why you want to put shackles on what it is you can and can't do? Yeah, the money is good and all of that good stuff, but I like my creative freedom. And when you're on television, you got to color inside the lines. When you're on your own medium, you can do whatever, you can say whatever you want to say. You can be more authentic. You know how many times Shannon Sharp wanted to cuss Skip Bayless out on national television? And he had to bite his tongue? You don't have to do that shit on his show. It makes for better theater. It makes for a better experience when you can just say and do whatever the hell you want to do. Mike Lowry says, Katt just dropped another video challenging Kev to a comedy battle, basketball game, boxing match, or whatever he want to do. $5 million for each event. He's not gonna accept that. Like, in Kevin's mind, I don't have anything to gain by doing this. He's already the biggest comedian in the world. In the world, Craig, what does he stand to gain from doing this? Nothing. So he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. Let's see. Mike Lowry says, nah, putting him in his contract that Ricky got to wear a dress at every movie he's in with Katt is next level pay. Like, bro, when I heard that, I was like, bro, stop. Stop. Katt, come on, man. Come on, bro. Seriously? Like, and I don't believe that shit either. Now that's crazy. That's next level petty. I don't believe it, but that's still crazy, man. Let's see. Let's see if there are any more comments. So we're going to inject a little football here for a second. Niners fan writes, is there a player with a worse injury history than Jason Verrett? He's re-signed with us last week and just tore his rotator cuff in practice today. 6th season-ending injury of his career. I don't think there is. And the sad part about it is he's one of the most talented corners I've seen in the last decade. Just can't stay healthy. It's a damn shame. Miss P says, did you see the clip of Dave Chappelle in the dress way back in the day with Howard Stern? I did not see that. No. And I would love, that had to be way back in the day, by the way. And I would love to hear Dave speak on that. I would love to hear him speak on that. I would love to hear him speak on that. Because I guarantee you he probably regrets doing that shit. And there's a story behind it. But I've never seen that clip. Mike Lowry says, Milli Vanilli was a plant. I believe that. You laughing, you dead. I'm thinking, I really truly believe that. They had no talent. Two dudes come out of nowhere doing that stupid ass dance, right? Can't sing. They definitely felt like plants. You know, he said something else funny about toxic women that made me laugh because I know a couple of those in my life. And the shit he was saying was like spot on. I was like, bro, what the F? Like, yo, this dude is crazy, man. This dude is crazy. Oh man. Let's see. All right. Yeah, Colin Jost is the was the co-host of Weekend Update with oh yeah, he did go in on Chris Tucker a little bit. He went in on Chris Tucker a little bit because he was friends with Michael Jackson, and he said his nickname for Michael's nickname for him was Christmas. He's like, have you ever had another man give you a nickname? He's like, no, neither have I. Christmas. Hey man, Katt Williams is a damn fool, man. Oh man, Lord have mercy. Jesus. Steel City says, I have to admit, Lou, it's pretty funny. I'm going to be super annoyed when Buffalo loses and we sneak into the playoffs and the media makes it seem like Tomlin wins another Super Bowl. Buffalo's not losing, so you don't have to worry about that. But if in the event that they do lose, you guys beat the Ravens like you're supposed to and you make the playoffs, you're going to be pissed off and annoyed because he did it again. And that's the shit that you don't want him to get credit for, but you got to give him credit for it. He just won 2 in a row, about to make it 3 in a row with Mason Rudolph at quarterback, man. Like, come on, you got to give him some credit, Steel City. I know you're tired of the mediocrity and you know, living in that 9 to 10 win space and not really breaking through. But bro, he's making the most of what he has. And some of it is his fault. Granted, I give you that. The offensive struggles are his fault because he stuck with Matt Canada for far too long. I get it. There's talent on that team. But they're not getting the most out of the quarterback position. The offensive line has been, you know, in flux over the last 3 years or so, especially after Ben retired and all the Pouncey and Pouncey retired and he lost all those guys and Villanueva left and all of that stuff. But that's no here nor there. The bottom line is he's gotten the most out of what he's, even if it's been a situation that he's created, he's still gotten the most out of it. That's a lot more than most coaches can say, by the way. Let me see if there's anything else that you guys want to talk about before we move on to the final segment of the show. And we get out of here. It's a lively comment section, which is what I expected after. If you've seen it, you knew that this was going to be a crazy podcast, but it's definitely some crazy shit. Anyway, I think that's it. I don't see anything else here that's addressed to me in particular. So we're going to move on to the final segment of the show. I got one from Just Andre here who writes, you think Kanye sold his soul and now trying to get it back, etc. His last 2 albums are Christian rap albums. No, I don't think. I just think he's all over the place. The things that he does, there's no rhyme or reason. You could say that that's why he did that, right? But remember, he's always been a religious guy. He wrote Jesus Walks. Like, that was always in him, right? But when you're searching for answers and you don't know where to turn, the easiest thing for people to do is turn to Christ, right? To turn to religion. And I think that's what he was essentially doing. That's my guess, right? Anyway, Black Al B writes, yo, Lou, has there ever been a point at your fandom where you really thought about not watching your team? I'm getting to that point with the Vikings. Nah, I never, not for the Commanders, at least. I've done that in other sports. That's why I say I love football, I don't love the other sports. I like them a lot. But the difference between football and basketball or baseball is I can turn that off at any time and not feel bad about it. You know, my wife would be like, aren't the Grizzlies on? Yeah, I don't care. We gonna spend some time. Aren't the Braves on? Nah, yeah, they on. That's cool. I just watch the box score. I don't have to see what's going on there, right? So again, there's a lot of times where I don't have to watch in other sports. In football, I'm always watching my boys, even when it's a chore and it turns like right now, it's a job watching these boys. If not for Sam Howell, to be honest with you, and even with him in the lineup, it's a chore, bro. It's not fun right now watching them play. But I'll never turn my back. I'll never not watch, because I know that next week I won't watch them play another football game for 6 months. So in knowing that, I cherish every single time they step on the field, because I know that here shortly I won't be able to watch them anymore. So I don't take it for granted. But I understand when it sucks. I do understand that. Anyway, let's get to the final segment of the show and my money picks of the week. So we'll run through these real quick. Week 18, so it's going to be a lot of craziness going on. A lot of people, a lot of teams, rather, not playing some of their starters, whether you're out of the hunt and guys have injuries and you're just, sitting them down for the rest of the year, or you've already clinched a playoff berth and there's really nothing for you to play for. So you're going to give guys an opportunity to rest before embarking upon your postseason journey. So some of these picks are going to be crazy, but that's what you have to try to anticipate in week number 18. So Pittsburgh at Baltimore. You got 2 Saturday games. Pittsburgh at Baltimore is the first game on Saturday. Steelers have everything to play for. They win, coupled with the Bills loss, and they're in. The Bills win, they're eliminated, right? So they'll know that they've done what they needed to do, and then they just await the outcome of the Bills game on Saturday or Sunday night, rather. So they'll have to wait the entire day, and that's why they pushed that Bills game all the way to Sunday night. But Baltimore not playing any of their starters. They've clinched the number 1 seed overall. They got nothing to play for here. I expect Pittsburgh, who the interesting part here is the Steelers named Mason Rudolph the starter this week when Kenny Pickett is perfectly healthy. And there was this story about him, similar to what we heard with Zach Wilson earlier this season, refusing to dress as the backup. I don't believe that. Kenny Pickett's not in a position, just like Zach Wilson wasn't in a position, even though Zach might have had more leverage to say, nah, bro, I ain't playing. You bench me for this clown, and now you want me to come back? Nah. In Kenny's case, he's just been mid, right? And this dude comes in and he's played the best football since Ben Roethlisberger. Good Ben, not the shit we saw at the end. Good Ben. And this is the best football that we've seen from any quarterback since then. So you keep sitting down, and we're going to let the hot hand continue to ride. And he's a little salty, which leads people to believe that the Steelers are in the market for a quarterback this offseason. And we'll see if that's, in fact, the case or not. But I got the Steelers winning this game. I said all of that to say this. The Steelers are going to win this game, and then they await the outcome of Sunday Night Football. Houston at Indianapolis. This is a playoff game for all intents and purposes. 2 teams that we didn't think when this season started would be playing a game in week 18 to determine the final playoff berth in the AFC. This is crazy. That's what this is. This is utter nonsense that Houston and Indy are both 9-6 right now with, 9-7 right now with a chance to clinch a playoff spot. The winner goes to the playoffs. The loser goes home. I've been riding with this notion that there's no way Indy's going to the playoffs. I'm going to stick with that, even though, because I've been doing that all year long and they've been proving me wrong all year long, it's only fitting that they win this game. But I'm going with Houston. I'm rooting for the Texans. I like DeMeco Ryans. I love what he's done. I want to see CJ Stroud in the playoffs. Indy's been a nice story, but they're boring to watch, even though they've been scoring a bunch of points. I'd rather see the Texans in the playoffs, so I'm rooting for the Texans, and I'm going with them in this game. I know this one's going to backfire in my face, though, because Indy's been kicking my ass all year long for the most part. Give me Houston, though. Jacksonville at Tennessee. So this game is – Jacksonville doesn't need this game, but they need this game. Okay, they've already clinched the division, have the Jaguars. So that's not up for debate. But what is interesting is that they did shut out the Panthers last week. We know about the drink situation with David Tepper, et cetera, but they need to get into a rhythm going into the playoffs. They got a lot of guys banged up, including Trevor Lawrence. They would love to get him out there. And even if he doesn't finish the game, you'd like him to get some reps, right? We'll see what happens. They also have the receiver, Christian Kirk. His window was opened, I believe, this week. It'd be nice to get him out there and get him running around, right? Get him a few reps too. So I think they've got some things to work out before the playoffs get underway. I like them in this game over Tennessee. I don't think that the Titans could win this game. I wouldn't be shocked if they won this game. I think Jacksonville is going to win this game, though. Minnesota at Detroit. Similar situation to Jacksonville, right? Lions don't have anything to play for. They've won their division. They can't improve their playoff positioning. They are the 3 seed no matter what happens. So they really don't have anything to play for. But I don't think they're going to take this game for granted. I think they're going to go in there. They're going to try to, they are pissed off after the situation that happened last week with Dallas. They feel like they were robbed. They want to go into the playoffs on a high note. I expect them to go home, take care of business, beat the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings are kind of going through a little bit of a transitional period here, trying to figure out the quarterback position. They're no longer in the playoff race anymore, so they don't really have much to play for. And I think they're going back to Nick Mullins, if I think I heard correctly. So give me Detroit in that ball game. Atlanta at New Orleans, NFC South family business. You know how the family do it. This one is for a chance to go to the playoffs for New Orleans. Like, obviously, they're going to need a lot of help because they need Carolina to beat Tampa Bay, and that shit ain't happening. However, stranger things have happened. If you're New Orleans, you can't worry about that. All you can do is play out the string and see what happens. They also could be playing for a wild card spot. Nothing in the NFC is sewn up with that 7th and final spot in the NFC playoffs. With Seattle losing last week, it opened the door for everyone, including this 8-8 New Orleans team. Now, they're going to need some help. They're going to not only need Seattle to lose, they're also going to need Green Bay to lose in order to leapfrog those two teams to get in via the wild card. So their best shot is the division. They need to win, and they need to couple that with a Tampa Bay loss. They take care of business at home. Atlanta, their quarterback situation really has been their undoing this season, and it'll do them in one final time. Give me the Saints in this ball game. Jets at the Patriots. If you're a Commanders fan, this is the biggest game of the season, this is the biggest game, not the Commanders in Week 18. This is the one you'll be paying attention to in the 1 o'clock hour for sure. This one has a lot riding on it because if the Patriots win, all you have to do is lose and you're assured the number 2 overall pick. Should the Patriots win or should the Patriots lose to the Jets, then you open up a can of worms. Then we got to start worrying about the Atlanta New Orleans game and all kinds of other shit. Let's just nip it in the bud. It's Belichick's last game as the head coach of the New England Patriots. They're at home. You send Belichick riding off into the sunset with another win. Give me the Patriots to send Belichick off the right way with a dub over the New York Jets. They own the Jets anyway. I see the Patriots getting it done. Tampa Bay at Carolina. I already talked about this game. NFC, and all of these games are family business. So I don't have to say family business. All of these games are family business. We know that's how the season ends, right? So this is of the NFC South variety. This division is on the line here. Baker Mayfield looks like he's going to play. He got banged up last week in the loss to New Orleans. And so they need him, obviously, if they're going to try to make a push for the playoffs, make the playoffs, and then try to do damage when they get there. Carolina stinks, but their 2 wins have come at home in some inclement conditions. It could get nasty on Sunday, depending on how the weather goes. I know it's going to be nasty on Saturday. That could bleed into Sunday, depending on the weather pattern. We'll see. But Tampa Bay is the better team. They're going to find a way to get it done, win the NFC South, host a playoff game, and more likely than not, host the Philadelphia Eagles in a rematch of Week 2's contest. Give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Cleveland Browns at the Cincinnati Bengals. Browns have already clinched the division, a wild card spot rather, with their win on Thursday Night Football over the Jets last week. So no Flacco, no Myles Garrett, no Amari Cooper. All those guys are going to be resting. Cincinnati, on the other hand, out of the playoff race, have nothing to play for but pride. They're at home. I expect them to clean up this final game of the season and get it done. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals in this game. Chicago Bears at the Green Bay Packers. The Bears. Big game for Justin Fields. A lot of people are putting a lot of stock into this game. He's 0-7 in his career versus the Green Bay Packers. If I'm not mistaken, he's 0-7 against the Packers in his career. And so obviously, if you're a quarterback of the Chicago Bears, your first objective is to win. That's 1A. 1B is to beat the Packers. It's sort of like Michigan and Ohio State. Your first objective is to beat, Michigan if you're Ohio State, and if you're a Michigan Wolverine, it's beat Ohio State, right? And if you're an Ohio State Buckeyes, beat Michigan. So he hasn't done that yet. And a lot of people think that beating Green Bay in this game, finishing out the season, winners of 3 straight and 5 out of 6, is what could catapult him to keeping the job, having them bypass taking a quarterback, instead, picking up more draft capital, building around him, et cetera, et cetera. Green Bay, on the other hand, just win and you're in, right? You put yourself in this position. You've had some ups, some downs this season. You've had some bad home losses. You've had some bad road losses. But at the end of the day, you've done enough to put yourself in a position where you control the outcome of your season. All you have to do is win. This is the same situation they were in last year, and they let Detroit come into their building and beat them. I see the same situation happening this year. They're going to let Chicago come into their building and beat them. Give me Chicago on the road, who's playing extraordinary defense. No one's talking about their defense. We're just talking about the offense and Justin Fields. That defense is playing tremendous ball right now, the best they've looked all season long. I'll take the Chicago Bears in this game on the road to end the Green Bay Packers season. For the second year in a row, Green Bay is going to have their season ended at home in Week 18 to a divisional foe when all they had to do was win to get in to the postseason. Dallas at Washington. This is a no-brainer. If you're a Commanders fan, you want to see nothing but a loss here. There are going to be a few stragglers along the way that I don't care about any draft pick. I want to see us beat Dallas. Bless your heart. But for the rest of us, we know what's up, right? We know what time it is. And the type of time that we're on is that number 2 overall pick type of time. And the only way you get that is by losing to Dallas. Dallas is on that winning division type of time. And the only way they do that is by beating us. And so you keep a bunch of streaks alive. An 8-game losing streak, will be achieved, the longest in the league this year if we lose this game. And no one's won the division in back-to-back years since 03-04. That stays alive if Dallas beats Washington. I say if it's not broke, let's not fix it. Dallas gets the win here over Washington and clinches the NFC East and the number 2 seed. Denver at Vegas. This one is AFC West. Both teams are out of it. To me, the Raiders are playing for something, whereas the Broncos really aren't, right? The Broncos had a chance last week. They needed to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. They did win, but everything else that they needed to happen didn't. They've been eliminated. But once they benched Russell Wilson, it felt like their season was over, even though it technically wasn't, right? So we know they're going to have a very intriguing offseason, to say the least. Whereas the Raiders, they're playing for their head coach. They're playing for Antonio Pierce. They're going to try to finish this thing out the right way, and I think they will do exactly that. They started the season off by going to Denver and winning 17-16 in week 1. They're going to finish the season off beating Denver in week 18. Give me the Las Vegas Raiders. Eagles at the Giants. This game is fascinating to me because the Giants, the Eagles own the Giants. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But you know what this feels like to me? This feels exactly like last season, Washington against Dallas. Everything about this screams Washington versus Dallas last season, week 18, right? So last year, Dallas needed the game to have a shot, but all Philadelphia had to do was win and they would clinch. Sam Howell got the start. We weren't expecting much. He goes out, he plays well. Dallas knows that, look, we're already in the playoffs. Probably not going to win the division because there's no way the Giants are going to beat the Eagles. So it is what it is, right? You go in, kind of give a half-hearted effort, and you get smoked on the road, right? The Eagles are reeling. They got beat last week. There's turmoil all over the place. There's no Devontae Smith in this game with an ankle injury. There's no Darius Slay on defense. The Giants feel like they can beat them. They almost got them the last time they played on Christmas Day, and they know they know that they have to win this game to have a chance at winning the division. But they know Dallas isn't losing to Washington, so you're going to get a half-hearted effort. This just feels like last year's Washington-Dallas game, and I'm seeing the same result. Give me the Giants over the Eagles in week 18 to send the Eagles into the playoffs reeling. And you know what also feels a lot like last year? Who did Dallas have to play after they lost to Washington? The NFC South division winner, which was who? Tampa Bay. And what did they do? They went to Tampa Bay and they did what? And then they went the following week to San Francisco and did what? Lost, right? That's what I see happening with the Philadelphia Eagles. They lose this game. Everybody's like, oh, the Eagles, they stink. They're going to get, they're going to lose in the playoffs. Then they're going to go to Tampa. They're going to beat up on the Buccaneers. Then they're going to go to San Francisco and they're going to lose. That's what I see happening. Anyway, give me the Giants. Seattle at Arizona. Keep this one short and sweet. Cardinals did what they were supposed to do last week. Not what they were supposed to do, what we needed them to do, which was beat Philadelphia, get their fourth win of the season, more importantly, put them in the four-hole as in terms of draft placement, right? Draft order. But Seattle's still fighting for a playoff spot. Last week's loss at home to Pittsburgh was devastating because now they don't control the outcome of their season. They now need help. They need Green Bay to lose, and they have to win in order to get in. We'll see what happens with Green Bay. But for Seattle, I see them taking care of business, giving themselves a shot. I think just like last year, they were in the same position last year, right? They had to win, and they were in. They almost lost, but they got it done. They're on the other side of this, but this time they're going to win, and they're going to get in because of somebody else losing instead of them just winning and getting in. They're going to win, and Green Bay's going to lose, as I already mentioned, and that's going to allow Seattle to get in. Give me the Seahawks in this one. Rams at the 49ers. It's Carson Wentz versus Sam Darnold. I'm going to see this again. It's Carson Wentz versus Sam Darnold. Who are you taking? Just give me the home team, man. Give me the 49ers in that one. Let's not overdo that one. Let's not overthink it. Let's just go with the team at the crib. Chiefs at the Chargers. Another one of these games. I don't even know who the starting quarterback for the Chiefs is going to be. If I'm a betting man, it's Mahomes and company. I assume they'll get a little bit of the work. They're in no position to sit their starters down. They're out of sync offensively. So I wouldn't be shocked if they played their starters for a quarter or a couple of possessions, treat it like a preseason game or whatever. But they're still better. They're better than the Chargers. It's Easton Stick and company. Give me the Chiefs to wrap up their regular season with the win on the road at the Chargers. And then finally, the nightcap, the most important game of week 18, Bills at Dolphins. This one is for all the marbles in the AFC East. The winner of this game wins the division. For Miami, it's pretty simple. Doesn't matter what happens. You're going to the playoffs anyway. You want to play a home game? beat the Bills, win the division. You don't want to play a home game, lose this game. You're still in. You'll still play a playoff game. You're fine, right? For the Bills, it's much more complicated. It's simple, but it's complicated. You win this game, and you go from out of the playoffs all the way to like the 2 seed, I believe. Yeah, the 2 seed. Like, that's crazy, right? They're right now the 7 seed in the playoffs are the Bills. Or are they the 2 seed? They might already be the 2 seed because they beat Miami in the head-to-head matchup earlier this season. So they're the 2 seed. It's rare that we say this in the NFL, but they could go from the 2 seed to out of the playoffs altogether. You rarely see that. But that is, in fact, the position the Bills find themselves in. They've been playing playoff football for a month now. They've come all this way, won all these games, and now it comes down to this. They're not going to drop the ball. They're not going to let the rope go at this point. They fought too hard. They've come too far. Josh Allen is dealing with an injury. He'll be fine. They do struggle in Miami against the Dolphins, but they'll get it done. The Dolphins are so banged up. They're all kinds of banged up coming into this game. And they've proven that they just don't know how to beat good teams with winning records for the most part. They did beat Dallas. We'll give them that, but they've struggled. We saw what they did last week. Got absolutely manhandled by Baltimore. That's not going to happen in this game, but they are going to lose. Give me the Buffalo Bills. I told you already they're going to the AFC Championship game, and I told you that over a month ago. Give me the Buffalo Bills in Week 18. Winner takes all to win the AFC East yet again, clinch the number 2 overall seed, get the home playoff game, and the Dolphins fall back to a wild card with the loss. So those are my money picks of the week. Feel damn good. I feel so good about these. The only thing that I don't like is I got more road teams than I do home teams, but Week 18, just like Week 1, never makes any sense. So I don't feel that bad about that. So anyway, I digress. Josh T, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Sam Howell is a plant. Katt said it. Get out of here, man. Leave my guy Sam out of this, okay? Leave my guy Sam out of this. Anyway, I digress. Y'all enjoy your weekend. We'll be back tomorrow. We got 2 games, so we'll be back breaking that down tomorrow. Obviously, I'll be back on Sunday twice. One for the Commanders game, once for Bills and Dolphins. So you'll be seeing this face all up in your space this weekend quite a bit. But until then, enjoy the weekend. If you haven't watched the Katt Williams Club Shay interview, you got plenty of time over the weekend. Do yourself a favor and treat yourself to some grade A top choice entertainment. Anyway, I digress. Enjoy your weekend. Get out of here. Y'all take care. God bless and good night.